Good morning, you lovely lot. So here we are, video 15. I think I worked out there'll be 22 of these videos in March, one for every weekday, that allow you to spring clean your comms habits and refresh and reboot the way that you communicate. So today I want to talk to you about being a member of the C.I.A. Now, this isn't the C.I.A. as you know it, but it is a kind of a reminder, I suppose, that sometimes communication doesn't always go our way. And in the event that it doesn't, sometimes it's not the right thing to do to accept personal responsibility for an outcome not happening, for a mind not being influenced and changed as a result of a conversation with you, because that's just life. And the C.I.A. reminds you that in everyday communication, you are communicating with people, and people are unpredictable. And therefore, there are some times when you can control a situation. There are some moments when you can influence a situation. And there are some times when you just have to accept that it is what it is. So C.I.A. stands for Control, Influence, Accept. And it's there just to remind you that sometimes you'd like something, a conversation, a meeting, an interview, a formal chat to go one way, and sometimes the outcome is just beyond your control. And therefore, the only thing that actually we can do when we're in a situation that the outcome is outside of our control is to be sure that we've done what we could that was appropriate to influence the outcome. And if the outcome isn't the one we want, we just have to accept that that is life. And when we get to that point of acceptance, can I control it? Can I influence it? Or have I just got to accept it? And the point at which you reach a situation where there's something you've just got to accept, then the only thing you can control in that situation is your reaction to it. And sometimes we just need to give ourselves permission to walk away, to accept that the person we're speaking to will potentially never see eye to eye with us on a certain topic, that we did our best to help somebody understand how we were feeling about a situation or the background to a story, but ultimately they don't see life through the same lens as we do, and therefore we just have to accept that it is what it is and give ourselves permission to walk away and not to beat ourselves up about it. Now, when you're thinking about C.I.A., when we look at the control element, now I'm not talking about controlling somebody else. I'm talking about being in control of every piece of information that you give. And that is something that you can and should take complete responsibility for. I just put my teeth in. Controlling what you do and what you say is absolutely essential. It's the only thing you can control. It is your responsibility to control it, and you should want to control it, because it's remembering that words have the power not only to help and heal, but they also have the ability to hurt. And sometimes it's very easy without thinking to hurt somebody with the words we say, normally because we are in an emotive state and we are sharing and describing an emotional reaction that we're having. And sometimes, had we just put a little bit of space between the feeling and the conversation, we perhaps wouldn't have said the same words. So we need to control what we say, because words can hurt, and sometimes the way it feels when somebody says hurtful words to you, it's really hard to forget that feeling. It's easier to forget some of the words, but it's very hard to forget the way they made you feel. So therefore, it is accepting responsibility. And this is one of the founding principles that I shared, I think it was in video 1 back at the beginning of March, which is, I don't mind what you say and how you try and justify it. You behave in a way that you choose, and you communicate with others in a way that you believe you can get away with. and other people do exactly the same to us. So accepting responsibility, accountability, and control for your part of communication is absolutely essential. And if therefore you're delivering a tricky message, being in control of what you share, sometimes it just means that you will have actually taken some time to prepare what it is you want to say. Sometimes being in control of what you say is pausing to think before you speak. Sometimes it's not interrupting somebody to allow yourself to get to a position where you really think you have listened to understand, not to just reply. And sometimes it's just about managing your emotion, picking the right time, the right environment, and the right way in which to bring up a sensitive topic to somebody. But either way, accept control for your part in a communication. Now, when it comes to influence, your words, because they help, heal, or potentially hurt, they're influential. So the way in which you communicate and what you say has the power to influence somebody's opinion, their perspective, their level of knowledge or understanding on something, or their reaction to something. We've probably all been in situations where you kind of think, wow, that was a really difficult message, but I feel quite grateful that I know the answer now. Or I know I've certainly in my HR days have had people who have thanked me for closing their contract, or disciplining them in some way, or helping them get an ill health pension and not return to work, not because of what I did, but how I did it. And therefore accepting that we can influence people's perspectives, knowledge, opinions, and outcomes is important. And one of the best tools we've got to use when we want to influence somebody is our ability to listen. Because so many situations we've been in, and I'll talk about this in a different video, we find ourselves listening just to get to the end of that person speaking because we want to reply. We listen to reply, when actually, if you want to be able to share a piece of information with someone that changes a perspective they have, or an opinion they may have, then one of the most powerful things you can do is you can listen to understand where they are coming from. And when you ask questions that help you to understand what the world looks like through their eyes, then you can talk about your opinion, your perspective, your desire, your outcome in a way that has the best chance of being impactful on them. If you understand why they feel the way they do and where they're coming from, then you can use that to choose the angle in which you talk about a topic from, and that allows you to influence somebody. But we have to admit that sometimes we just can't seem to get through to somebody. Maybe you just come at a topic from totally different perspectives, politics, religion, current affairs. Sometimes you can be talking about, I know that I've got some friends that I adore dearly, but when it came to Brexit, we were just completely polarised by our views, and the conversations that we used to have, they didn't influence either of our thinking to a point where it changed. We understood that we had different views to each other, but we didn't change our perspectives. And therefore, when you're up against one of those situations where you're not actually able to influence anybody, then it's accepting that sometimes you just have to agree to disagree and either walk away or agree not to come back and talk about that subject if it's something that you just can't see eye to eye on, or alternatively, it might be something that you want to get more curious about because you think, actually, I might be the one who needs to change my perspective on a topic, or you might really feel that it's important to try one last time to get somebody to understand your perspective on a topic. So in that situation, go back to listening skills. Be curious, ask open questions, see where the person you're speaking to is coming from, and only then, when you get an idea of what the world looks like on that topic through their eyes, can you go back to believing you might potentially be able to influence them. But sometimes you can't, and you just have to accept they are never going to share your view on a subject. And like I say, at that point, you can't control it. You haven't been able to influence it. Your only option is to accept it and move on. Not accept it and feel bitter about it. Not accept it and keep bringing it up and going around in circles and talking about it until you get so frustrated with each other you can barely tolerate each other's company. It's about accepting it and moving on. Sometimes the moving on is just minimizing the exposure you have to the person. Sometimes if they're just polarized in a way that actually it doesn't align in any way with your values, you just probably going to have to accept they're not your kind of people, and you're not going to be in each other's company very comfortably. So walk away. Sometimes it's about just agreeing not to talk about a topic. So with the friends and the Brexit situation that I was talking about a moment ago, we just never went back there because we knew it had the potential to damage our relationship. Neither of us wanted that. So you can either walk away from the person, walk away from the topic, or get curious and try and find out where someone's perspective comes from. And I suppose this is something that I talk to my clients about a lot, is when it comes to personal conversations, relationship conversations, family members that you might be related, but you think, how can we be from the same genetic pool? Because our perspectives and what we think is acceptable and unacceptable is so far apart that it beggars belief. Well, in those conversations, helping to understand that the C.I.A. is in place in every conversation that you have, somehow that I have found with my clients gives them comfort. Because when they have tried to talk about something which is in their control, and they have tried to influence somebody's perspective or view and they haven't been able to accept that that will never be the case, gives them permission to leave a relationship, walk away from a discussion, to understand that there is no flex, no ability to find shared or common ground. And it's that giving permission to accept people for who they are. Because just because our views aren't the same, it shouldn't mean that we have to judge that other person to be wrong, to be ignorant, or to be badly motivated in some way. If we go down that road, we become very judgmental in our communication. So the C.I.A., the accept in the C.I.A. doesn't just stand for accepting that this is a conversation you have got no control over or influence in, but it does say understand them and accept the person and their perspective for who they are and what that perspective is. And then choose your response to it, because that is the part that you remain in control of. Your response to when you reach a position where you are in loggerheads and there is no movement towards common ground. So I'm going to leave this video here, leave you with the concept of C.I.A., give you permission to accept somebody is wired or believes something different to you, and accept that you can't influence or control their beliefs or their perspectives. And in that situation, to give you permission to take that acceptance of the situation and the person and decide, what are you going to do? Are you walking away from the person? Are you walking away from ever discussing that topic with them? Or are you curious enough to ask more good, open questions to find out where their perspective and where their opinion and where their knowledge and understanding comes from? Because that might give you the opportunity to influence again. So I leave you as a fellow member of the C.I.A. and the gift of having permission not to try and change everybody is powerful. But remember, you remain in control of your reaction to that moment. Right, I love you and leave you. I will see you back here very soon for the next video. Okay, bye for now.